I would like to talk about the nuclear treaty that was signed in 1988. Now, at the time that the nuclear treaty was signed, it was signed between the two former presidents, Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan. Now, the whole premise of this treaty was so that the United States and the Soviet Union would no longer build nuclear weapons or nuclear power anymore because because this was supposed to be an agreement that we won't have any tension and we won't compete for that. But shortly soon after, the United States continued building nuclear arms, nuclear weapons, right after the treaty was signed. So I know Donald Trump was bold enough to say uh, that we won't stop building nuclear arms until Russia and China will get their senses together. Meaning, like, until they stop, we won't stop building until they stop. But here's the thing: the U.S. they never stopped building nuclear arms. They never did. So if anything, they violated the treaty. You can't blame it all on Russia. I don't know why Russia keeps getting all the blame. Supposedly the Cold War was over in 1989. The Berlin Wall was struck down, right? Especially after that iconic speech where he said, "Gorbachev, tear down that wall." So my question is, if the Cold War is over, how come there has still been tension between the United States and Russia? That never ended. That's been there for a while. Oh, and let's not forget another thing. Why should other countries stop building nuclear arms? Just because the US doesn't like it. Other countries, they have their own they have their own sovereignty. That means they should have the right to build nuclear arms. So when other countries do it, all of a sudden the United States gets intimidated. Like, this is the mistake we're making as Americans. We get intimidated, so we always have some kind of tension with them. Iran is building nuclear power because they want nuclear power. They want to use nuclear energy as alternative energy for using oil to power their cars and their other machines. So why can't they do that for alternative energy? But do they have nuclear arms? Oh yeah, they do. But they have the right to build nuclear arms. But for the United States, to build nuclear arms after they sign a treaty, an agreement that they will no longer build nuclear arms because they want because to avoid war and catastrophe in the near future. And the fact that Donald Trump is saying that, we will not stop building nuclear arms until Russia and China has their senses, that's very hypocritical because why should other countries stop when the US is still continuing to build these arms? As an American myself, I find this to be very hypocritical and very backwards. It doesn't make any sense. So we can build nuclear arms, but other countries can't. We violated the treaty. They didn't want to violate the treaty. The Russia saw it was, okay, well, if they're not going to stop building nuclear arms, we're not going to stop building either. We have our own sovereignty. We should have the right to do that and to strengthen our country with military defense. So why is it that the United States should continue being the police of the world and bully other countries and telling them what to do and what not to do? That's called being a bully. That's called being a dictator. I thought we were a country of democracy, not a totalitarian dictatorship. This doesn't make any freaking sense. So I think as Americans, we need to get our senses right. Another thing is that, we get intimidated so easily. And, we have to stop going into wars. The only time the US hasn't really been in a war was in the 1980s. They haven't been in a war. So far, there hasn't been any war or any countries that have been invaded. That's the only thing I like about the Donald Trump administration. But other than that, I think it's safe to say that, you know, um, saying that, we won't stop until they stop, it's a bullying tactic. So it's time that America in itself should stop being the police of the world and start getting their acts together. And I'm saying this as an American, and I've notice a lot of weird changes, and in how, and I've noticed, like, the country's thirst for power. I mean, if we want to be at the top, we shouldn't be intimidated by others. This is the whole point of competition, not to be intimidated, but to fight back or to improve ourselves so that we can be at the top of the mountain. Competition is a healthy thing. So why should we continue bullying others and saying, like, we're going to continue building nuclear arms and you don't, like, eh, us, we never stopped building nuclear arms. We violated the treaty. We can't blame it all on the Russians and China. So it's time to get our acts together. And quite frankly, when it comes to hypocrisy is an annoying thing, but when it comes to politics, this is the worst form of hypocrisy in the world. That's which is in the world of politics. I think it's about time we change that.